Hey everyone, welcome back to another episode of the Brawn Body Podcast. As always, if you haven't already, be sure you subscribe to our show. This way, you can stay up to date on all the latest and greatest episodes and content that we are bringing you. And you can also find us on Instagram at Brawn Body. So, in this episode, we're kind of continuing our discussion with Chloe Davies on kickboxing. So, as you might remember from Monday, she currently attends Swansea University. She's studying sports and exercise science, and she is a highly competitive kickboxer. She's competed at both the club and university levels. She won the Waco English Champions just a little over a year ago, and she was set to compete for the Great Britain team in kickboxing internationally until our friend COVID hit. And I know Chloe is very excited to talk about how COVID has impacted her and her sports career over there in the UK. So for more on Chloe, you can find her on Instagram at ChloeAthlete_26. So with that, Chloe, welcome back.
Hi.
So, not only have you gotten the honor of discussing martial arts with me, which this is the first time I've ever discussed martial arts with someone on the podcast, but you're also the first guest I've ever had from another country. So, what can you tell us just about, living in the UK when it comes to sports and fitness, athletics? Because I'm sure it's very different than what you might hear about or see about here in America.
I feel like it's definitely different. Sport in the UK is very interesting. For me, I don't know whether I'm just being stereotypical from watching films and stuff, but over in America, sport is seems it's very funded. It's a big deal, whereas over here in the UK, it can be overlooked.
Hmm.
And not even just sport, it's the health and fitness industry. Like more so than ever now, people need to be active.
Hmm.
A lot of people are suffering from mental health, from not being able to go just to the gym. Yeah, it's overlooked. We have got our professional sports. We've got obviously our rugby. We've got football. We do have our big sports, but the sports outside Olympic level, you don't hear about, which obviously kickboxing falls into it. So it is very interesting, and I can definitely say that America's sport is very funded compared to over here.
Right. And I'm sure that has a huge impact on the youth, especially, is we know that cultivating proper healthy habits such as exercising from a young age will go on to impact you throughout life. And if there's a lack of funding and a lack of opportunities, then I'm sure kids are not, getting up and getting out and playing a whole lot of sports.
Oh, definitely. Yeah, it's now you don't see a lot of kids out. Obviously we're still in lockdown, so but we are allowed to exercise outside. We're allowed to go for walks, but even then, you don't see it. I know from family. I've got a younger sister, and she's constantly just on the Xbox, on the iPad. She doesn't like do a lot, and it's not even their fault a lot of the time because our schools are still shut as well. So
Wow.
she yeah, we're not schools are still shut, so we're still in the house, we're on Zoom. So she's only 9, she doesn't understand that in school, like, she's still getting steps in, she's still, running around the playground, all this, she's not getting any of that. So it is very, like, different over here at the moment.
Definitely. And kind of diving into that a little more because I know you were excited to talk about that. So, schools are still shut down, gyms are still closed. You can barely justify leaving your house to go for a walk or a run. This sounds pretty crazy to me. Um, and I know you said too that it was your boyfriend's birthday earlier this week when we were recording this podcast, and you couldn't even go out to purchase balloons. I mean, this seems crazy to me.
Oh, it is at the moment. It's just a never-ending lockdown. You obviously the first lockdown came, it was serious, and we were all like, yeah, we've got to do this, we've got to work on getting numbers down, and we did, and they opened back up for summer, not like as normal, because I don't think it's going to be normal now, but you could go out, you could eat, you could see your friends, you go to the gym. And then in Wales, in around about November time, we had like a mini fire break lockdown, so everything shut for 2 weeks. And I just got back into routine with my training, so I thought, right, it's 2 weeks, I can carry on like doing my home gym and then come back. And then Christmas Eve, not Christmas Eve, 5 days before Christmas Eve, we were visiting my boyfriend's family in England. And it came out that Wales was going into a full lockdown on the 28th of December. So everything was shut in completely again. So obviously we had a couple of days to decide, get our things straight. That same evening, we got a news alert saying they've changed it and Wales is going into lockdown tonight. We were still in England. And we were like, what? It's literally was supposed to be the 28th. It's a couple of days before Christmas Eve. And I remember seeing on social media, like the shops, it was chaos.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone was panic buying. They were shutting the retail like that night. Like you weren't allowed to do Christmas shopping anymore.
Mm-hmm.
It came out of nowhere because obviously we thought, oh, their plan was they're shutting it down after Christmas, which is nice. You can see your family for Christmas. No, that went out the window and we were getting locked back in. It was an insane amount, and we've been in lockdown ever since.
That's crazy. So that's been at this point almost 3 months of lockdown that they just kind of threw on you one day. You couldn't go out and do anything, and you're pretty confined to your house. Are you at least able to go out and go grocery shopping, or?
Yeah, you can go shopping as long as obviously you've got the mask and you go alone. You're
Really?
not allowed to go with anyone else. It's stricter in other places than others. My boyfriend and I, we still would go and do shops together because when we do a shop, it is a big shop and I can't do it myself. So we will go and try and do it, but we'll go quite late in the evening. So it'll be like 10 o'clock in the night where most people aren't there. So it is a lot quieter. But yeah, it got to the point where we went to go shopping before and we got stopped. Only one of us could go in to do our shopping. And even then, you're only allowed to buy essential items.
Mm-hmm.
So they have like obviously where the aisles are, they've taped up all non-essential items. So like clothes you can't buy, toys, children's toys you're not allowed to buy, houseware like kitchen utensils you can't buy. It's very, very strange over here at the moment.
That certainly sounds it. I think it's weird that we don't consider clothing essential. And I don't think we should be considering like kitchen items non-essential. Like, I mean, great, you bought food, but how are you going to cook it? Like, you're not just going to live off of like frozen chicken nuggets for all of quarantine here. Or at least I hope you're not.
Yeah, it's very different. It's just like now we've just gotten into we're just used to it, but it is getting to the point now where it needs to just go back to normal. And because a lot of people are suffering, especially like uni students, you know, those who have businesses. We've seen just so many shops going out of business purely because they can't run.
Mm-hmm.
It's quite devastating.
Yeah, definitely. And not to be like kind of adding to the bad news here, but I know in the US too, certain cities have found that their lockdowns have cost the lives of more people than the virus itself. I think it was
Yeah,
San Francisco. 6 to 7 times as many people took their own life due to lockdowns than the virus killed, which
it's just the same over here.
it's
It's
devastating.
crazy. Yeah, it's been on the news that, you know, students, there's been a few students that have been taking their own lives because they're lucky for me, I'm out of accommodation, so I'm in private and I do live with my partner. But others, like especially those in first year, you know, where they have moved away, they're away from their family, they're with people that they've only known for a little while,
Mm-hmm.
and they're completely isolated. There has been a lot of stories in the news about students taking their own lives. It's devastating.
But luckily, there is a little bit of good news with this is exercise is one of the best ways to improve your mental health, and getting up and going out and doing something can really improve your mood and just kind of uplift your spirits during this difficult time.
Yeah,
And
definitely.
I know you do a lot of your training at home, and you're competing with kickboxing. So Can you tell us first a little bit about kickboxing? What does that entail? How does the competition structure look like? That sort of thing.
Yeah, definitely. So in kickboxing, we have different disciplines.
Hmm.
So you have your full contact. So that's when you're in the ring and you are looking to knock someone out. It's very handed. You've got your low kick, which is you can hit to the legs. You've got light contact. So this is you're in like a mat area and you're just continuously fighting for the round.
Hmm.
And points, which is my main discipline I compete in, is you have you and your opponent, and it's person who can score the most points in the given time. Usually, for me, it's 2 2-minute rounds, and it's a very fast-paced fight. It's quick. You got to be on your feet. There's no breaks. You have a
Hmm.
break, you're scored upon. It's it's fun. It's very very fun. It's probably one of the most for me one of the most entertaining styles to watch,
Hmm.
especially when if you say to someone, "Oh, you do kickboxing," they immediately go to, "Oh, so you knock people out." I'm like, "No, I no, I try to score points on them." it's but it's really intense, especially when there's only 1 point between the whole fight, and you get to like last 10 seconds. It's like usually go into a game plan where you will attack to get the point, or
Hmm.
you'll stay away and get extra time. But even then, you end up in extra time, and it'll go to the first person to score wins,
Hmm.
and it is the most intense situation ever. But I don't know what's worse, in it or coaching. We had a competition back in 2019, and one of our club fighters, he's in the junior category, and there was about 27 people in his category, and he got to the final, and it was a tough fight. It was we were proper going for it, and it got to you. It was the first person to score wins,
Hmm.
and there's a video of me, and I'm sitting in the coaching seat. I'm not even watching what's going on because it is so intense. I'm sitting there with like my eyes covered and like my hands just peeking out a little bit and he came up to us and was like, "What do I do? Do I attack?" And I was like, I couldn't even like begin to explain what to do because it was so riding on it. And I remember my like main coach just took it, and I was just sitting there like, "Look, just stay calm." And they said fight, and he went for it and he scored it, and just everyone, it erupted. Like it was one of the best like moments ever, but it was very stressful and intense. So yeah, it's fun. It's a very fun discipline, and yeah, there's a lot on YouTube you can watch of point fighting. It's different because when you tell people, "Oh, you don't knock people out, what's the point in your fight?" But I know like it's really fun. It's a fun way of doing it, especially like it's not the aim of it is not to knock someone out. It's not to you don't want to hurt them properly. You just got to be quick,
Hmm.
which is sometimes even harder than hit hard. Like just hit hard. It is very you've got to be straight on the bounce. You can't switch off for that 2 minutes. You switch off and you're getting scored upon. You end up being 5 points down. It is very very intense, but very fun, I have to say.
Definitely, that's awesome. And I like how, as you brought up, it's not just about knocking people out. I typically think of that being the more quote unquote American way of fighting is everyone just wants to see somebody get knocked out in, a couple minutes. But I like how it's a lot more technical by the sounds and there's a lot more to it. And instead of being focused on someone's going to the hospital, it's focused on, okay, what's your overall skill here? Can you do
Yeah.
these things and do them quickly? Or, will you be limited by whoever you're facing their defenses, or will you be able to not uh, withstand their attacks, so to speak?
Yeah,
Uh,
that's a great way to put it. It's very tactical. You've got to have your tactical. If you've got someone who, you get fighters that won't attack you. So, their prime game is defense. They are so off the quick. So you've got to try and pull them out of your comfort zone while trying to get yourself into your, what you do. It's very like you've got to have the right tactics.
Definitely. So I know a big part of developing the right tactics are kind of preparing yourself physically for the fight. The mobility, strength, balance, coordination, all the different requirements that kickboxing has, that certainly doesn't come overnight. I remember watching videos of some of your kicks, and I was just like, how does she get her leg that high? So, with that, what does your physical preparation or training look like, so to speak, for kickboxing?
Yeah, truth be told, my kicks look very high, but I have such a basic overall flexibility. It's very strange. I can't touch my toes, but I can kick to the head. That's one of my like main things I say about it. But it is literally my flexibility is I'm flexible, but it's not like I can't do the splits, I can't touch my toes. It's very limited, but my hip mobility is what I focus on quite a lot, and that's how I can get my kicks, up to head height. Because I'm just under 5'3", so I am quite small,
Hmm.
and especially when I go up weight categories, I'm fighting taller people. I will 90% be the shortest person in the category usually. So I focus on my hip mobility a lot. You know, um, purely just breaking it down to practicing my kicks.
Hmm.
That's the best way I find doing it is if I haven't kicked in a while, my hip mobility will go absolutely awful. So I do just kind of stay on top of that. And the biggest thing for me as well, as silly as it sounds, my feet have to be conditioned, um, especially for points. Because in a points fight, you're constantly on the tip of your toes.
Hmm.
So you're bouncing constantly for 2 minutes and you cannot go flat footed because you will get scored upon. And my feet after some training sessions will actually burn because I'm on my toes so quickly and I move so quick. So I feet like around my flat, I'll just be bouncing sometimes, just doing some movement and stuff, purely just to keep my feet on top of things. Because I got injured in 2019. I fell down a step, as silly as it sounds, and I tore the soft tissue of my ligaments in my right ankle
Oh, wow.
and ended up in a boot. Yeah, so I was out for 3 months,
Wow.
and yeah, I
It,
came back, rehab everything, and my feet I had blisters. I could barely walk, just purely because I hadn't conditioned them for 3 months.
mhm.
It's very different.
I find it interesting that that injury you just brought up was in the same year that you won Waco.
Yeah, it was. So I injured myself in October 2019.
Hmm.
So I was out for 3 months. I came back in January 2020. I had 1 month of preparation for the Wackos. And, yeah, so that 1 month was intense. It was a goal of mine. I'd been out for 3 months. That was at the back of my head. I
Hmm.
was full blown. I was winning that competition, and I did, it was crazy because I think back and I said I literally had a month to get myself ready for a big
Hmm.
competition, but I did it. But yeah, but now, like, thankfully, my ankles are getting better with it.
Definitely. I love the energy too. This is great. So it sounds like definitely focusing on hip mobility and focusing on the feet and ankles, which this is actually something we've heard quite a bit about so far, is in my schooling for physical therapy, it's all about the hip and the ankles and the feet for that matter. We kind of consider foot and ankle the same thing. And we've had guests in the past, Dr. Dakota Stroll, Dr. Kyle Bowling, some great professionals in the field of sports rehab, exercise and fitness, that sort of thing, that have all said, look, if you master the hip and you master the foot and ankle, everything else is going to come pretty easily to you because movement starts at the foot after all. So if
Mm,
you have issues at the foot and ankle, they're going to continue elsewhere. And if you don't have the proper hip mobility and stability, then pretty much everything else is going to be off because think about your spine. Your spine sits on the sacrum, your tailbone, and that connects directly to your hips. So if you got issues with the hips, you're going to have issues all the way up. Um,
yeah.
so I really love how you brought up those are your kind of focus areas. And I like how you said too, the best way to get more mobile, especially in the hips, is to just do it. Like, if you want to get higher kicks, start kicking and keep kicking.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, that's what it is. You see a lot of people will have proper routines for it, whereas for me, I just stick to the basics, do my kicks. I do yoga quite a lot as well, which definitely has helped me. So yeah.
Sounds like something I need to do some more of here, because my mobility is awful. I'm kind of the opposite of you. I can touch my toes and touch my nose all the way to my knees. Like I've got, great flexibility, but when it comes time to actually move and mobility, things don't always move like they should. And
Yeah.
that's one thing I've noticed, especially with you, is across the board, not just talking about kicks, but squatting, cleans, all the different things you do regularly, your mobility and your form is just perfect every time.
Oh
So,
yeah, but with strength training, I've only been properly doing it for probably about 6 months. Um, Before that, honestly, I had no clue what I would why I was doing certain moves. I was very clueless about weight training because for me, because it was something I wasn't doing a lot. I was like, oh, I don't want to do it. I'm gonna get it wrong, and then if I get it wrong, I'm gonna look silly, or I don't want to fail on something. But last September, about I got into proper routine with it, and then I ended up realizing I'm actually quite strong for what I am. you know and now I absolutely love it. It's one of my favorite training sessions. It's gives me a goal, because obviously right now with kickboxing, I can't say oh, my goal is to win this competition, my goal is to get down to this weight for a competition. My kickboxing goals at the moment are very limited. Whereas I found that now I'm doing strength training, weight training, I've got different goals, and it's nice to have that to focus on. Yeah, so it definitely helped me at the moment.
definitely. And it's kind of dynamic. It's fun, it's exciting, and like you said, it's individual. You can push yourself, and it seems like you really like to push yourself to do better and do more. So I can see why, you would enjoy this. And as we kind of said, I know you do a lot of squats, cleans, and pull-ups, but what else do you include in your training, and what all does your training look like?
Typically, my training routine. So obviously, I have my skill-based and sport-specific, which is kickboxing. So usually, I'll do that on Zoom with my coach in the class, or if I can't get to that because of university, I'll go onto my bag, which I have at the house, and just purely just go on that for 40 minutes, just playing around. I have conditioning sessions. So usually they're just pure full blast, get a sweat on, usually some equipment, but a lot of body weight stuff.
Hmm.
I do yoga, which helps in my mobility and flexibility. So I'll do that 2 or 3 times a week when I can, just have an hour, usually on my low days, I'll get yoga done. And then I have strength training then, which I usually focus on 3 compound moves. So I'll have usually one day I'll do my deadlifts, one day I'll do my squats, and then one day I'll do my cleans all at heavy weights. And then my upper body then is usually paired with it. So I feel like my strength training is a lot different to usual people's, because a lot of people will have splits, whereas my splits are basically just my main lifts, but then my upper body stuff and my core, they just kind of go in with it. So yeah, my training routine, it's very full, but it's probably the best type of routine I've had in in a while.
No, definitely. And I like how it kind of balances out everything. You have your high days that you're pushing harder and heavier, and you have your low days where, it's okay if you slow down a little bit and take the time to recover. So I really like that balance piece. And I think a lot of people are missing this in their own programs. I know at the point this episode airs, this is following 2 weeks of powerlifting podcasts. And powerlifting is very different than the average exercise program. When people, at least in America, think exercise, they think of push pull legs, or they think upper body, lower body, and everything is split up. And in reality, we know anatomically these muscles are all connected. Like you have muscles that literally run from your hip to your arm. Like everything is connected, whether you know that or not. So it kind of makes sense, especially from an athletic and functional standpoint, to do everything at the same time together. Because, when you're competing on the kickboxing mat, I don't think you're going to say, okay, today I'm only going to use my biceps in this fight. Like, no, that's not how
That,
it works.
yeah,
So
that's literally the way to put it. Definitely.
um, everything is connected, so it makes sense to train it all together. And this is typically the advice I give to athletes when I work with them is, look, when you go out and compete, you're not going to have a day where all you do is push with your upper body. You're not going to have a day where all you do is arm curls and the tricep push downs. You need to be able to do all these things together. So make your training match your specific sport goals. And I really love how it sounds like you've really mastered that. Um, so with that too, before COVID, before all this sort of happened, was there any kind of specific dynamic and team environment to the training piece of what you've been doing for kickboxing?
My training environment is probably one of the best. When I'm in the club training with my kickboxing teammates, it's fun. We have some hard sessions. We will push each other, but it's like a massive family. We all go there. We all want each other to do well. We'll push each other. If one of us is having a bad day, we make sure they get through the session. It's like no one's on their own.
Mm-hmm.
It's fun, and it's a good environment, which I think is you need. If you're in a bad environment, you're not going to do well. You're not going to train well, and it just puts you in a bad mindset. So yeah, if you surround yourself with the best people, then that's all you can ask for.
No, I couldn't agree more. They say if you are friends with five millionaires, then you're going to be the sixth millionaire. It's simple as that. You become like those you surround yourself with. And I'm sure those people probably help you too when you are competing, because as we kind of alluded to on the Monday episode, we were talking about the mental side of kickboxing, and part of it is receiving the kicks and blows to your own body. Um, but I'm sure physically, you have different things that you have to do in order to kind of receive some of that pain, so to speak, because obviously if stop fighting after you got hit once or twice, then, you're probably not going to score many points.
No, yeah, that's exactly it.
So, is there anything that you do kind of physically to prepare yourself for the physical aspect as far as the actual fight itself goes, and taking some of those shots? Because I know, I myself, I weigh about 185, 190 pounds, and I wouldn't want to be on the receiving end of any of your kicks. Um,
Oh, yeah, I think for us, like obviously pre-COVID, we would fight like in our club. We'd fight each other a lot. We're a very competitive bunch. So when we do have to go and spar each other, one of us is winning. I don't care if it's not going to be you, and we will go at each other, as if it's a competition. But for me, I think that's the best way to do it.
mhm.
We'll do like team events where we do like boys versus girls, or we'll get split. And it'll be hell for leather. We going to hit you, like you're not my teammate at the moment. I'm going to punch you. But that's the best way to do it, because you're in such good preparation. Is like I train with some so like talented people. I'm very, very lucky. I'm training with such good people, and for me that has helped me,
Mm-hmm.
because I'm training with the best fighters in the UK. So if I'm fighting against these and I'm training with these, then when I go into competition, it's a breeze, then.
That's always the goal, right? And if you're fighting in the lowest weight class, like you said, I'm sure some of the people you're fighting against in training and preparation are maybe a little bit bigger than you, so
Yeah,
to speak.
yeah, they are. I am one of the littlest ones. Like even like we have like some men that will fight each other. Like we all just go at it, but we're all friends, we're family.
Yep.
So whatever on the mats, it doesn't get taken out in the wrong way. We like we will like egg each other on. We will literally like go at each other and trash talk each other just to like psych things up. Like, oh, you know, if we're having like our coach will be a ref and everyone will be watching and we don't get a score point or our ref doesn't score us, oh, we'll be kicking off everything, you know, shouting at each other, saying you didn't hit me, and it's so fun. But at the same time, like it's the perfect preparation for getting hit in competitions. You come into competitions, you're getting hit, and you're like, oh, I get hit harder in training,
Yeah,
so it
just
doesn't
brush it
matter.
off. No big deal.
Yeah.
So with that too, you know, the demands of kickboxing, both figuratively and literally, I think carry over to a lot of people right now. Is, you know, physically, you know, you need balance, coordination, endurance, power, mobility, body weight control, especially, but you also need the resilience, both physically and mentally, to keep pushing ahead and keep moving forward despite literally taking shots to your body or, you know, all kinds of different things that are thrown at you. So what kind of advice would you have just from your own experience and own perspectives on fitness and training and kickboxing to someone that we might consider, you know, general population who maybe they want to start adapting their training to kind of look a little more like yours?
I think the biggest thing is don't overlook the basics. I think nowadays everyone tries to get their training routines so advanced to try and look like, you know, oh my God, look what I'm doing. I'm doing this, I'm doing that. Like 99% of the time, you just need the basics. You know, for me, I will like especially my kickboxing being specific. I will train the basic, you know, the basic punches, the basic kicking, because that's what I'm gonna do. You
Hmm.
know, I'm not gonna go fight and do a big spinning kick. Like because I know I wouldn't pull that off. Knowing my luck, I'd probably fall. So, you know, it's just about the basic. Even when it comes to, you know, weightlifting, I don't go and do what, you know, more than what I can. You know, I know what I can push my body to. I know what I can do. There's no point me trying to, you know, squat 120 kilos. There's just no point, you know. I think for most people, they're so hecked up in social media, especially Instagram, of seeing what everyone else is doing. They're like, oh, okay, I need to go and do it like them now. But no, it's not. That might not work for you. You know,
Right.
you need
No,
to adapt everything to you.
I agree. I couldn't agree more, actually. And it's funny how this worked out because this is going to be our last podcast episode, or second to last, I can't remember, in the month of March. And so far throughout March, unintentionally, we've had four different people for four different episodes, well, 4 different weeks of episodes, who have all said the same thing. Simplicity works best. If you want to get really good, keep it simple. You know, if you want to get stronger at the bench press, you should bench press. You know, you're not going to want to go out and spend $5,000 on some ridiculous machine and, you know,
Yeah,
this technological mirror that is apparently going to make you fit at home, when you can literally just bench press and get better at bench pressing. And I mean, the same goes for anything and everything. If you want to get stronger, okay, lift heavier. And if you want to, you know, increase the size of your muscles, then lift weights, lift them heavy, lift them light, lift them fast, lift them slow, kind of work everything. It's not that doesn't have to be as advanced as you know, we think it does. And I like how you brought up the social media piece because I know a lot of people, especially at the gym I go to, they're copying Instagram workouts. You know, they saw it on Pinterest, so that's what I'm gonna do. Or, you know, this girl, she has 3 million followers. I saw she just posted this workout, so I'm gonna go do that. And they end up doing the most ridiculous things, and there's no kind of rhyme or reason to them, and they're doing them incorrectly in the first place because this is the first time they've ever done it.
definitely. I think, to be honest, my pet hate is, you know, people just following Instagram ones. I think if you look at my Instagram profile, I've got my own training program. I don't follow anyone else's. I get told what to train. I know what I have to train. So for me, posting my training program, it's not going to be beneficial to other people because they're going to be doing something completely different. So for me, my athlete account is purely just for me, is for me to where I can put progress, where I can put, you know, showcase what I do, what my training looks like. The only thing I give people if they want to try is, some of my conditioning workouts is like a short and, sharp one. If you want to get a sweat on, you do this conditioning. I guarantee you're going to be sweating.
Yep.
There's no point me going, oh, go and deadlift this, because you might not be able to do it, or you might be able to do it more. But for me, it's beneficial to me, so there's no point me going, oh, this is my routine, you do it.
No, I couldn't agree more. And I try and do something similar. Is once in a while you'll get one of the workouts that I do, but most of the time it's just little glimpses into what I'm doing, because what I'm doing is very specific to me, and I've learned and
Yeah,
adapted what works for me over the course of about 10 years of just self-experimentation, for lack of a better term. And if you want to do what I am doing, and the same for you, if people want to do what you're doing, then they're going to have to put in the time and effort to figure out, okay, this works really well for me. This doesn't. I like this. I don't like this, and kind of balance it from there. And this is where I think professionals can help. Obviously, there's fitness professionals for a reason. And for those listening, if you do need help, you should really reach out to either of us, because I'm sure we'd be happy to help you. But obviously, no one knows everything about everything. I'm not going to have every answer as to why your squat sucks right now. But if
yeah,
come to me, I'm probably going to give you much better advice than you're going to find on, 5 minutes on Google. So,
yeah, definitely. A lot of the accounts I do follow on my athlete account is, it's giving advice and tips. So it's
mhm,
not saying you should do it this way. It's, oh, try it if this other isn't working. Or looking at, oh, we've got this mobility, try this mobility stretches before your session. Or like form like advice off from actual people that do their research, not because they've got 3 million followers.
mhm. No, I couldn't echo that any louder. Um, so with that, are there any kind of closing notes or anything else that you want to add to our little discussion here, all about, COVID and the pandemic, health and fitness, kickboxing, and all these other amazing little sub things we talked about?
I think now, especially the height of the pandemic, I can't express enough how much, try and be active. And that's not me saying go and run a marathon right now. Just go out for a walk. Some days I've had really bad days. I have had the days where I haven't gone out of bed purely because I've felt really bad. But now, if I'm like, oh, I really don't want to do a workout today, it's like I'll get up, I'll put my earphones in, I'll go for a walk. I'm quite lucky, I live quite near to a beach, so I'll just go down for the beach. I end up coming back, I'm in such a good mood, I end up going to do my training session. When if I hadn't gone out to get some fresh air, I know I wouldn't have done it.
Hmm.
So it's not even like purely for sport. Health and fitness is such a massive part. And now, with a lot more people struggling for mental health, get out, just be a little bit active, go for a walk, do some yoga, dance around your room, anything. Just get moving. Yeah, that's probably like my biggest thing right now.
No, again, I'm right there with you on all of that, because, I could literally talk for hours about all the benefits of exercise. And I know the people listening don't want to hear me talk any more than I already have. But just remember, exercise is good, and it's literally going to benefit every system in your body. We've known that for a fact. We've researched it. There is not one single thing in your body that is not benefited by getting up and exercising in some way. So seriously, just do it. It's going to help you. It's going to improve your life and make your life better in some way. So why not just do the simple thing and improve your situation?
Definitely.
So, with that, Chloe, thank you so much for joining us on these two episodes of the Brawn Body Podcast. And for those listening, if you really felt inspired by Chloe and liked what she had to say, be sure that you follow her on Instagram. You can find her at ChloeAthlete_26. Chloe, thanks again.
Thank you so much for having me.